Hey guys, we're horizontal and you know what that means. This is going to be the long-term review of the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. To get it out of the way up front, I am using the video in manual video under the Pro mode. My settings are 1/60th of 1 second shutter speed. We're recording at 30 frames a second. Our ISO is 160, and that's all the real settings. I've left it on autofocus as well. We're using the 23mm lens, and the audio, again, my favorite microphone is coming from the Rode Video Mic Me C+. That is a USB-C shotgun microphone that plugs directly into the phone. I'm going to try to waste as little of your time as possible. I've already made an extensively long video about this phone, so let's jump straight into the things that I don't like about the Xiaomi 15 Ultra after using it for over 6 months. 1. It is incredibly annoying that they have gone through the trouble to make all of these manual presets that you can build yourself, so you can make it a certain white balance setting, a certain ISO setting, a certain shutter speed, and you can save it and call it whatever you want and keep it for certain scenarios. However, every time you select one of these modes or every time you switch between one of these modes, it will always default to JPEG, and there is no way to make it not do it. And I can't tell you how many times I've been shooting with the phone, changed a mode, forgot that it does this, and all of a sudden I'm not getting any more RAW files. And that's kind of the whole point of using the Pro mode. There's a really weird white balance gap with the phone. I haven't been able to replicate this on video quite yet, but as you're scrolling through the white balance slider, it's just like small change, small change, small change, small change, and then it just kind of jumps. Like it's only a small scroll, but in terms of what you see, there's a huge change all of a sudden, and then it goes back into small changes. I don't know what causes this gap in the white balance, but it's a real thing. If somebody else has seen it, chime in. There's been a lot of people that have confirmed a lot of my complaints with this phone, so I'm just curious if someone else has seen it as well. That's one of the issues I've not seen anyone else mention. This one's really, really small, but when you put the phone in silent mode, and I pretty much always keep my phone in silent mode, you can't get a shutter sound. I think the Xiaomi 15 Ultra has some really cool shutter sounds. I know that's kind of dumb, but it's got some really cool shutter sounds. But since I keep my phone in silent, I can never hear those shutter sounds. The high resolution modes are extremely limiting. You cannot get RAW files in the high resolution modes, and you can also not use the Leica Authentic color profile in the high resolution modes. If you use 50 megapixels, you will get outputs in the Leica Vibrant color mode, which I hate, so I don't use it. There's no way to get RAW files out of the auto mode. I've mentioned this before, but the only way possible to get RAW files off of this phone, you have to use the Pro mode. There's no other way. Palm rejection on this phone is kind of shite.
What is that? Sheep, is it? It's cows? No, I know what it is. It's bullshit.
Compared to using the Pixel, I had a lot more false positives, false palm touches on this phone where I'm clicking buttons or changing game settings because the palm rejection is quite bad. That's all I have to say. It has pretty bad palm rejection compared to other phones. The camera glass. This is actually probably the singular biggest problem with this phone. The camera glass is soft. It is a soft glass. I don't know what they've made it out of. I don't know if it's like an acrylic composite, but I'm not convinced it's a glass because compared to the front glass, the camera glass scratches very easily, and other people have mentioned this. So I know that it's not just my unit. There is some sort of problem with the glass. I don't know if it's a coating on it that's scratching easily or if it's the material itself, but the camera glass scratches way too easily. When charging the phone, the battery becomes hot, and then when you're done charging, it stays hot for quite some time. This phone's screen seems to be permanently fixed to a higher contrast ratio than other phones. This doesn't seem like a really big problem, but it can be a problem when you're editing photos and videos. Because if you're gonna edit on a high contrast screen, you may think that you have a good amount of contrast, and then in reality, the photo's contrast is actually very low because you're editing it on a high contrast screen, which makes you believe that you have a high contrast in your image when actually it's not that high. There have been many instances where I have edited a photo on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, and then I've posted it to Instagram and then viewed it on the Pixel, and it just looks really flat in comparison, or it's a lot flatter than what I was hoping for. It's a lot flatter than what I was expecting. And I think that has a lot to do with the contrast ratios on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. You can adjust things like saturation, and you can adjust the white balance of the screen, but I don't believe there's any way to change how contrasty the screen is. It's very, very dark in the shadows. And I'm talking about anything. Like if you open a video on YouTube, if you go to Instagram, dark stuff looks extra, extra, extra dark on this phone. And it makes it have this really deep contrast. Some people are gonna love it, I'm sure. I'm sure for a lot of people that may be a pro. I'm just talking about from the perspective of editing photos. It's kind of difficult because it's a bit misleading as far as what you're getting. This one's really short. There is no native 24 frames per second video on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. I always think this is really odd because if it's a question of capability, obviously if the phone can shoot 4K 120, it can absolutely shoot 4K 24. That's a much easier task for a camera than 4K 120. So I know it's capable of doing it. It's just a matter of, will Xiaomi pull their heads out of their asses
Get your head out of your ass!
and put it in a software update? The answer is no, they will not do that. This phone takes beautiful HDR photos. If you're shooting in the auto mode and you get an HDR photo, they look brilliant. They're great to view on this display or on other displays. But the moment you edit it in the Xiaomi gallery editor, it removes that HDR quality, that HDR format of the photo, and it goes back into SDR. And I wish they would find some way to allow me to edit, tweak the colors, fix the colors without taking the image out of HDR. I know it can be done because Lightroom for mobile will let you export in HDR, so it is possible. I wish Xiaomi would figure out a way to preserve the HDR quality of images when you put them through the Xiaomi gallery editor. There is a digital crop in the 4.3x lens when shooting in the auto mode. This can be confirmed very easily if you have this phone. All you have to do is open the camera, go to the auto mode, open the 4.3x lens and take an image. Now go to the pro mode, also open the 4.3x lens, stand in the same place and take a photo of the same thing. What you will observe is that in the pro mode, the image is a little bit backed up compared to the auto mode. And that's because in auto mode, there is a digital crop to punch in further. This means that the actual focal length of the magnification, the actual magnification of the 4.3x lens is probably more like 3.9 to maybe 4.0. It's not a huge deal, but I'm just letting you know that it's not 4.3. There is a digital crop. This one is very creepy and might trigger some of the Xi Jinping is watching kind of conspiracy theories. Anytime you enter a password on an account or anything like that, it doesn't matter when, why, browser, app, whatever. If you're entering a password, this phone will drop whatever keyboard you've installed and it will go back to the Xiaomi default keyboard. So you will use the Xiaomi keyboard anytime you're entering a password. Does that sound creepy? Maybe. Does that sound like China's observing you entering passwords? Maybe. But yeah, other people have confirmed this as well. I do have the Chinese variant of the phone. I wanted it for the larger battery and the green colorway. I have the exclusive green colorway. Beautiful, beautiful color. But yeah, it's very weird. I don't like it, and I don't put any of my banking apps on this phone. I keep them on my Pixel. This one's really weird. When you shoot a video and then you click the little preview on the camera to open it up in the gallery, and then you hit play, once you've hit play, a lot of the functions of what you can do with that video are disabled. Let's say you wanted to delete the video. There's no way to delete the video unless you back up, back into the camera, and then reopen the gallery again. Now you can delete the video. If you play the video, it disables a lot of the functions. You can't edit it, you can't delete it. It just, it puts it into this viewing mode, and there's no way to get it out of the viewing mode unless you back out of the gallery and then go back into the gallery. Now you can do stuff. I just think that's very not ergonomic. I think that's very cumbersome that they would do that. Like, play the video, include the delete button. There's a lot of like really little things with this phone that like really piss me off. And that's one of them. Is I don't know why, if I want to make some change after viewing something, I have to back out of the gallery, go back in just to interact with it or delete it. If it's just a video that I shot to see my framing, right? I always shoot a couple videos first to kind of get my framing right and figure it out. And it's just really annoying that I have to do that. But it's one of my gripes with this phone. HDR is extremely elusive for the Instagram app. I don't know if that's an Instagram problem, if that's an Android problem, if that's a Xiaomi problem. But if I shoot files in HDR and I don't edit them, right, so I know they're HDR, or if I go to Lightroom and I export in HDR, so I know it's an HDR file, I cannot get this phone to put an HDR file on Instagram. If I put it on Instagram, it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter how I do it, it always shows up on Instagram as an SDR file. And that's not what it is, and it really pisses me off. Oh, and I guess I should also mention the assistant on the phone. This may just be a Chinese variant thing. The assistant is basically useless to me. Doesn't work for me because it's in Chinese, and there is no way to change it to the Google Assistant. There's no way to make it not Chinese. This is probably one of the biggest drawbacks to using the Chinese phone, is you basically have no digital assistant on this phone unless you speak Chinese. So I know you guys want to see lots of photos, right? If you're interested in this phone, you are here for the photos. I'll get to that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to shut the hell up and I'm just going to play a bunch of photos. I'll get to that, but let me talk about some of the pros of this phone. I'll make it really quick. I'll tell you the good stuff. We've already got through all the bad stuff. We're done with the bad stuff. Let's be positive now. The good stuff with this phone, it's got a phenomenal camera. Well, I'll show you samples in just a second. The manual controls that you can get with this phone are phenomenal. We're using them right now for this video, and I think it looks great. I know it looks great because I've already previewed it to see how it looks before I started filming. The battery life on this phone, again, I have the Chinese variant, so it's a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. The global edition is 5,400 or 5,400 milliamp hours. Should still be pretty good, probably not industry leading, but you know, in the top 10 percentile of phones that are available, should be pretty good. For me, I haven't charged this phone in 3 days. I mainly use this as a phone, and I use this as a camera and then for some other things as well. I've been shooting little shorts on this phone the last 3 days, and right at the time of recording this video, my battery was still 78%, and I have not charged this phone in 3 nights. So shooting little shorts here and there, taking little photos here and there, standby time is phenomenal with this phone. Yeah, battery's really great. It's 6,000 milliamp hour battery with a very modern, power efficient chip. What do you expect? The screen's really good. It gets really bright. It's obviously very sharp. I wish you could adjust the contrast ratios a little bit more, but it is a very quality panel. It gets plenty bright. It supports certain HDR profiles, not all of them, but it supports some of them. So it's good for that. The speakers are really good on this phone. It's a definite upgrade over the Pixel speakers for sure. I don't think they're as good as the iPhone speakers, but they're really good. I don't think anyone would complain about the speakers from the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. Ergonomically, this phone is pretty good. I've come to not really like the camera bump that much, and people are saying stuff like, when I was arguing in the comments with someone about Sony phones, they were talking about how they don't like the Xiaomi phones because it has a big circle. Yeah, it's not exactly ergonomic, but that's a very small trade-off to have such a phenomenal camera. You can live with it. But otherwise, the phone's very comfortable. No, the camera bump doesn't make it very comfortable, but the rest of the phone, it's got nice edges. It's a beautiful design, very easy to hold. Gaming is a little bit awkward because of the camera bump, and that's about it. The selfie shooter isn't phenomenal, but I never really take selfies with the selfie camera anyways. I'm the type of person, like even before, I used to always point the back facing camera at me when I take photos, so I'm used to getting the quality of the rear facing camera, and I still do that here, so nothing's really changed for me. I always use the rear facing cameras because the sensors are so much better. So I don't care. You do get a different color profile when you shoot selfies compared to the rear facing cameras. I've pointed this out before, so I'm not gonna retest it, but yeah, there is a slightly different processing to the colors depending if you're using the front or the rear cameras. So you get a different look. It's not just that the quality is different, you get a different type of look when you shoot with the selfie versus when you shoot with the rear facing cameras. I wanted to say this, when I initially got this phone, it was very hard to find good accessories, very hard to find good cases for this phone. There was Nilkin, there's a couple of others. I'll pop them up on the screen, right? I'll take some screenshots and pop them up on the screen. But slowly but surely, there are some accessories coming out for this phone. I forget what this Photor Gear, I think is what it's called. Photor Gear finally made a case for this phone so that you can put it on there and it interfaces with some of their lenses, kind of like Moment lenses, if you guys know that. So you do have some lens options for the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, which is kind of cool. You don't just have to have just the Zeiss one like from Vivo. You know, there are options out there. Other people do make lenses and stuff. So just keep your mind open about what's available as well. Moment makes really good lenses as well. They don't make a case for this one. I'm just saying that, you know, if you're staring at what Vivo has made with the Zeiss partnered lens and you're like, oh my God, I don't have a lens. Other people make lenses. You can go get other lenses. They're not the only ones who make them. Talking a little bit about how I use this camera. As mentioned in a short that I recently made, when I first started using this phone, I was throwing everything on Leica Authentic, shooting in auto mode most of the time. I quickly realized that there is not a tremendous quality gap, but definitely a control gap. Whenever you start to use the manual modes, you can just get way more control, way more granularity. The raw file format coming out of this phone is extremely powerful. It is such an editable file compared to any other smartphone I've used, compared to Samsung's raw files, compared to Google's raw files. Not all files are created equal. Not all 12 megapixels are equal. Not all 4K is equal. The raw files coming off of this phone are, they stand by themselves in terms of quality, in terms of editability. If you want phenomenal images coming out of this phone, shoot in the raw mode, get good control, learn how to use it. It's actually a lot faster than you think. Once you learn how to use the Pro mode on this phone, you can get some results going pretty quickly. It's not like it's gonna weigh you down in terms of being cumbersome and, oh my God, I gotta switch between the modes. It's not a big deal. And the other thing that's kind of cool is the camera will almost always remember, I say almost always because I feel like once or twice I've seen it not do it, but it will always remember what your settings are. So if you open the camera and you go into the Pro mode and you put some settings together, take some photos, and then you close the app and like close it out to where like it's not in your recently used apps anymore, you close the camera. If you go and open the camera again and you go back into the Pro mode, it'll pick up right where you left off. Your settings will be right where you left them. So if you're shooting in the middle of the day and you've found what settings work and they're really great for you, and then you want to close the app, no big deal. When you open the Pro mode and you go back, your settings will be just like you left them off, which that really speeds up the use of the Pro modes. You only really have to set your settings once every few hours, right? Like as the sun changes, you'll have to change your settings, or if you go indoors, outdoors, you'll have to change them. But once you get your settings good for a scenario, it's fine. And it's gonna remain fine for as long as you want. Now, whatever mode you left the camera in, when you open it back up, it'll be in that mode. So if you're in the auto mode and then you close the camera, when you open the camera, it'll be in auto mode. If you're in Pro mode and you close the camera, when you open the camera, it'll be in Pro mode. So I do like that part about it. Some people may like that, some people may not like that, but I think it makes the camera just a little bit quicker. Okay, the rest of the video, I think I've said everything I want to say about the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. There's those quirks and stuff. The rest of the video, I'm just gonna roll camera samples that I've taken on this phone for the last 6 months. It's gonna be long. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you guys for getting me to 400 subscribers. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys will continue to see some of the stuff that we do in the future. I'm gonna be reviewing a microphone soon. I know you guys probably don't care about so many microphones, but you know, I try to do some other stuff other than just smartphones all the time. But again, thank you guys so much. Please enjoy the camera samples. Peace.